Gold prison cars shining like the sun on the bay. Tom Brady's legendary, ain't no dirt in the play. Rare refractor Calvin stacking to the sky. Wendy blue velocity, watch those imperfections fly. We got the bass thumping, it's a vibe.
Hey, welcome back everybody, and happy Friday. Today we are actually doing something a little bit different, mainly because I get a lot of questions on Instagram around crossovers, and I thought it'd be a good time to address this just because I got another message today that made me think, oh, I should just do this now. Either way, long story short, so crossovers are tricky. You see a lot of them that are cracked out before they're sent into a company, typically PSA, before it's sent in. And there's obviously a lot of urban legends like, oh, PSA won't give me a 10 because they don't want to look like they're being biased or less than other companies. That's absolute horse shit, by the way. And I'm going to show you why, at least based on my opinion and my experience on this. Doesn't mean I'm right. This is just how I tackle it, and if you want to choose to do it a different way, you can. But I'm incredibly cheap, so I try to save every dollar. This is why I do things my way. So today I thought it'd be a great way to just kind of show you guys a variety of slabs that I've just had sitting around probably for the last year and a half. And then we'll go through each one and decide why you should or should not crack before you send to PSA, especially if you're looking for a minimum grade, which is what most of you guys are looking to do. So first slab we'll look at, and I'll go change the view in a sec, but I'll just run down quick list of slabs. We'll have SGC slab, we'll have a what is this, PGA slab, and then we got a CSA slab, and then we got ourselves a BCCG slab. Then we have a CSG slab, then we're going to have a HGA slab, then we have the good old tag slab, then we got the ISA slab, then we're going to have the GMA slab, then we're going to have a BGS slab, then we're going to have a mint grading slab, MGS, then we're also going to have a PGX slab, then we're going to have a SCD slab, then we're going to have a GEM slab, and then we have a, what else is this? This is a SPA slab, then we have a FCG slab, and then finally we have a GAI slab. So we have a lot of slabs. I've had all these sitting around for a long time with the intent to one day crossover. I haven't had a chance to look at anything just because of the fact that I've been so busy with everybody else's cards. So this will be my first look on all these as well, and there's probably like a few hundred more I have just sitting around, but either way, this will be fun to kind of tackle a couple things at the same time. But I hope this helps answer questions once you guys see this, and then you know, if you like it, if you don't, you don't. You know, some of you guys probably can't leave comments anymore because AI decided that you're just a nuisance. You know who you are. Graded Cards 5516. But we're gonna dive right in. Hope you guys enjoy this. Thanks. All right, guys, so we're gonna take a look here, and this is going to be my process, at least, on how I decide to crack something or not before it goes into crossover. And once again, it's not a right or wrong way. It's just my way that works really well for me. Do your own thing, and then we'll take a look. So I wipe down every slab first, because essentially what's happening is everybody wants to get a 10. They think that, you know, you get a SGC 10, it should automatically cross to PSA, which is not the case because it's not a universal grading system. I've talked about this many times. It's like saying anything that's graded by GMA should be a PSA 10. Anything graded by tag should be. It's just not it. So first off, you got to get that out of your head. If you don't, you're just going to set yourself up to fail. Regardless, first one here is the SGC 10. Take a look. So what we want to do, let's make this nice and focused first. So in order to get a 10, you got to understand that people have to see the card in its most pure form, so raw if possible. If not, which is this case because they're all in slabs, you just have to make sure that the case is pretty much flawless. So let's look at this Griffey. So we understand, we can see the first corner looks nice and sharp. This is SGC 10. Then we got the second corner that actually looks decent. It's not perfect. You can see a little bit of fraying at the tip, and it's slightly rounded, but still good enough. You got a little bit of right edge chipping as you run down. Then we'll tilt it, continue. Minimal chipping, but it's okay. Some of you guys are going to be like, yeah, but using a microscope. You know what? I am, and it works. Bottom right, you can see, same thing. Corner's got a little bit of wear. Bottom edge is nice. Then we got the bottom left corner over here. I just turned it around backwards because there's not room on the plate. But you can see that has good shape, but it has a little bit of wear as well. So this is an SGC 10. And I would tell you, second thing is try to look at your slab surface, and you're looking for any kind of defects if you can spot them. The hardest part with some of these is these slabs aren't always so clean. If you have scratches on the case, and you can't tell if it's on the slab or on the case, well, I can't give you a 10 if that's what you're guaranteeing, like that you want a guarantee from me, I should say. if I was PSA and you said, 10 grade minimum, just not gonna get it. So this slab is surprisingly clean though, so which is really nice. But you can see based on corners that we saw on the front side, it's a very unlikely card that I would try to crack to send a PSA because I'm more than likely getting a 9. Here's a little stain to the left of the 3. You can see right there, very small, but it's there. Those are things you just want to think about. And you can see this corner on the top right. It's okay. It's got good shape. Same thing. It's a little bit frayed. And I measure all my centering. I know there's a few of you guys. Graded card 5516. Like to eyeball your measurements and tell me I didn't measure. You're crazy, man. Some of you guys just need better things to do. And I'm not a customer service guy, as you guys can tell. I just speak my mind. Next one is the PGA. And this one got a 10 too. And you can see first corner, obviously, it's got a little fray on it. Already, it's not going to be a PSA 10, and that's the reality of it. Could you get an SGC 10? Well, based on the Griffey, maybe. The right corner is actually pretty good. This is an old card. This is 1990, what, 92, 93? 93, 94. Bottom right looks really good. And bottom left actually looks pretty good too. You can see the edge has the traditional old card cracks as far as the edges go, but typically they don't penalize you for that. So front so far could be a 9, but you're looking at this now, got all these scratches on maybe the card, maybe the slab, no idea, right? So when you're looking at this and you wanted a 10 because you think it's a 10, you got to ask yourself, would I give this a 10 if I was PSA and I have to guarantee if I crack this you're getting a 10? No, I would send this back and I would take your money. But this is the PGA slab. Next one we have is the CSA slab, and a lot of these are just banged up. So, all right, CSA, beautiful corner, beautiful corner. Going through, look at the edge. Nice edge. Look at that. Bottom corner here looks good. And bottom corner here, not bad. It's actually pretty decent. No edge chipping either on this one. So would this be a card I'd send in as a crossover? Not slab, because look at this. This is just a mess. If I wanted a 10 and I asked PSA to give it to me, they're just going to take my money once again and send it back. So double check the back. Beautiful corner. Beautiful corner. Beautiful corner. And actually beautiful corner as well. This is a card I'd probably crack and send it in raw because of that. Next we have a BCCG 10 slab, and this is the reason that prompted this video today. The last message, sorry I forgot your username, but you messaged me, said you see me cross BCCG 10s, you're wondering if you should keep it in slab or crack out. Point is, you got to check every single slab, every single card. It doesn't work like that. There's not a universal answer, but you can see corners look great. Typically they will on chrome cards to begin with, unless it was dropped at some point before it was slabbed. So overall, this is pretty clean. This is a card that I would so far potentially try to send into BCCG 10 slab. I have to still check measuring. Scratch right here. Is it on the slab? I don't know. And guys, this is 4X, so it's just blown up on the screen so you guys can see this too. That's the reality. There's another scratch right there, a little scuff, another scratch right there. So this is something that, same thing, I can't send this in like this because of the fact they'll just take my money, send me back the card, and then I'll cry about it and say they're, they just don't want to look bad. And that's just not the truth. Sorry if I sound a little bit chippy, it's just, sometimes some of you guys, the negativity is ridiculous. Better things to do. Okay, next one here. CSG 10, black label. So same card as the Tony Gonzalez before, but beautiful. And I would tell you the CSG slabs, SGC slabs, good old tag slabs, HGA slabs, usually these cases are just a lot more clear. So you're able to, if they are clean and free from scratches, you're typically able to send these in better, but you got to look at this level. There's scratches right there, scratches right here. And like I said, if I'm uncertain if they are on the card or not, I simply cannot and will not give you a PSA 10. Nice line right there. Is it on the card? Is it on the case? I don't know. It's probably on the card. but probably because it looks like a print line. And there you go. And now I hope this also gives you a good idea of the quality of cards sometimes that are in these 10 slabs. Even with big companies like CSG, with SGC, like they're not, you just got to understand their guidelines and where they're forgiving. So this Tony Gonzalez, I would, same thing, I would not crack, and I would not send it in slab. I would crack it if I did. Next one is HGA 95, Steph Curry. So this, that was a hair. Beautiful corner. Beautiful corner. Nice clean edges. Another beautiful corner. And another beautiful corner. So based on the front, I could tell you this is a card right now that it has a good opportunity potentially for a PSA 10. Then you got a little scratch right there or scuff, probably on the case. Got little spots, could be on the case. Just clean it up real nice, and then you got to revisit. Here's some scratches. Is it on the card? Is it on the case? Honestly, if you looked, I can see a reflection. I can tell these are on the case, but at the same time, I can't rely on another person to do the same thing, because this is, once again, this is just my process on how I do it. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's foolproof. It's just what I do. Back looks good. Back looks really good. Corner looks great there too. Edges look pretty good. That looks great. And this looks great. So this is a card that I'd likely cross over to PSA. Next is Tag. Alright, Tag. So they got the crystal clear slabs. Though cheap, they are crystal clear. You can see here, they got corner there. Looks good. This corner here, looks like maybe a small touch of white, or it could be the design. Not 100% sure. Does it reflect? No, it clearly looks like it's white. But this is, once again, the Tag 10. And for all you guys, I know you hate my Tag videos, but it is what it is. I don't care what the label says. So look at the cart. Some of you guys are really married to certain companies. It's really weird. Okay? Every company makes mistakes. PSA is one of them. I say that all the time. Corner's pretty good for the most part. Still be a card I'd probably send to SGC instead, just to be safe. PSA is one thing. They are very brutal on corners. But surface looks pretty good. The slab's a little bit dirty. You can see this nice scratch right here too. Clearly it's on the slab. At the same time, you cannot rely on that to be the case when someone else sees it if they do. Second, back corner, you can see touch of white. You can see edge wear, top, a little bit of white. Right looks good. Bottom right looks pretty good. And bottom left corner here, pretty decent. It's got a small touch of white too. So same thing, this would be a card that I'd probably send to SGC. This is not a card I'd send to PSA, just based on criteria. And once again, it's like, I know you guys think like AI, I work in tech, so AI is only as good as the programmers. And there's not one programmer, if you looked on LinkedIn, that actually works at Tag. Everyone's a marketing person. So take that with a grain of salt, do your thing. Next one's the ISA. Look at that, ISA 10, beautiful corner, beautiful corner. Very nice edges. Beautiful corner. And beautiful corner. Let's see the left edge. Left edge also looks very, very good. Nice and clean. So, card looks good as far as that goes. Surface-wise, I would probably, well, not surface, corners and edges, this would be a card I'd send to PSA likely. But then I got this big old scratch, maybe on the case, maybe not. But just like that, I would crack it out and send it to PSA. Does it suck? Because if you don't get a 10, maybe, but that's the risk you have to take, and there's no foolproof ways to make sure that you succeed every single time doing these crossovers. That's why it's a risk. You just have to assess it, see if it's worth it. Back here, like I can't see that corner super clear because of that scratch right there, but for the most part, at least I think it looks good, but I cannot tell, so I cannot give you a 10. This corner looks very nice. Tons of scratches on the card, or not the card, the slab like this. I can't tell you that I can give you a 10, but this, once again, would be a card that I would crack. Next one is a GMA 10. Got ourselves a decent corner, not bad. It's just the way it's cut. It's not technically damaged. Right side, that's a beautiful corner. Going down the right edge, looks really good. The bottom right corner, you can see the corner looks great, but there's a small touch edge chipping right here. Will you get dinged for it? Maybe, maybe not. Once again, this would be a card at that point. If everything else measures well, it'd probably end up going to SGC because you saw the Griffey. And I've seen many cards like that with SGC that have plenty of flaws that receive gem mint 10s. And they're not the same flaws as you get with PSA. You can see print defect right here, the yellow. So same thing. Not a card that I would send to PSA, but a card I'd likely send to SGC. The next man up. But other than that, the card's beautiful. It got some 2 small defects that we know can confirm at least. But the rest of this, like I said, in slab, it's just hard to tell. I would tell you there's a little bit more edge shipping right there too. So there's that. Next is a Becket. Let me wipe it down one more time just to make sure it's as clear as I can get it naturally. So Beckett's the hardest one because of the fact that there's a sleeve on top of everything, and their slabs are generally cloudy to begin with. This is a Becket 9.5. I could tell you that corner's nice and clean. Edge, oh, I can't tell you with this corner because it's just jacked up. As far as the slab goes, continuing down, that looks pretty good, and that looks good. But there's already one probability of you not having a successful crossover. Now, do you want to spend 35, 40 bucks to figure that out? That's the part. Like, look at this. If I wanted them to cross this and I said, you can't crack this unless you give me a 10, they're not going to give me a 10. They're going to just give me my card back after a few months without having to actually create it. But this is why Becket slabs specifically are very, very difficult to cross, is because most of them are very cloudy to begin with, and they have that secondary sleeve inside. So once again, Becket, I would always crack Becket unless you somehow have a Becket slab that's just crystal clear. Next is the MGS grading. So we got a nice corner here. Corner here, it's still nice, it's just extra cut from the side. You can see it just wasn't cut all the way perfect with a dull blade. Typically you don't get penalized for those unless it actually bites into the surface, which it doesn't. Bottom right corner looks beautiful, bottom right or bottom left looks beautiful as well. As far as surface goes, double check. As far as what we can see, you see some scuffs that are likely on the slab, but once again you cannot tell for sure. Here's a nice scuff too, likely on the slab. So once again, not a card that I would send in. And you can see the back corner is cut, it actually cuts into the surface on the backside. So once again, it likely won't gem at PSA. You could probably get a pretty good grade over at SGC. So there's that. Next we have is the Pure Graded X. Carson, if you're watching, hi. Haven't talked to you in a very long time. Hope all is well. So PGX, this is also a 10. Beautiful, beautiful corners. Nice clean edge, and I'm going faster than I normally do just because I'm just giving you guys a general idea. Regardless what label is on the slab that you're looking at, you got to look at the card, period. I don't care who graded it. It could be that, like, you know, RCR whatever, little sticker that says 9. It could be a 10, it could be an 8, but you don't know until you look at the card. So that's what I encourage you guys to do. Just ignore the labels. Look at the card and decide based on the criteria that you understand for each grading company where to go with that. Nice card. Too many scratches on the slab for me to send in as a PGX, and at this point too, with the PGX pricing, it would make no sense to send it in as a crossover anyway. It'd be a crack and send regardless. Next one is the SCD. There's two. This is the red label, and then there's the blue label. One was before and one was after. One card was, or one company was more legit than the other. There you go. So that corner looks decent. It's got a weird reflection on it, but maybe due to the slab as opposed to the card. The circle that is on the slab as well. But once again, you cannot bank on it. And if I'm repeating myself, it's just because that's what it is, to make sure I embed the message to you guys that it doesn't matter what slab your card is in. Like, look at that print line. Very common too in these old, like, refractors and stuff like that, atomics especially. Like you can see right there across the E. Well, if it was across the L and the L, that'd be different because it'd be a pattern, but it's not. So there's a big print line on this one. Nonetheless, beautiful card. Atomic refractor rookie. Probably bought this a year ago, I don't know. But same thing, I wouldn't crack that one. Next one we have the good old Gem 10 company. Now if this card isn't trimmed, that's one thing. And they have a sleeve as well inside, but good corner there. Good corner there. You see you have to like maneuver just to see, and you gotta imagine that's what they're gonna be doing as well if you decided to send it in like this. But it's already cloudy, it's got a lot of glare, but on top of that there's just gonna be scratches. Like look at all that. Like you can't possibly just be okay giving a 10 on that once again, and I'm gonna keep repeating myself because that's just what it is. So the corners look great though. Centering is actually beautiful on this card. I'm not just eyeballing it, it's been measured. I'm sure I have it in my file somewhere. But and always measure your cards. I don't care what anybody says. If you don't, that's on you. Next one here. Let's see. So that one is a card, another slab that I'd crack before I send. This one came in the sleeve. This is SPA, but you can see already I would absolutely need to crack this out before sending it in. But beautiful card of Chad Powers, rookie. So you can see it's very nice. So even with all the decal edges, look at all that, it's just nice and clean all the way through. What I'm essentially looking for is chunks missing, which I'm not, but at the same time, this is a quick inspection I guess while I'm doing that, because obviously the slab is just pretty banged up. Definitely a crack. Next one is FCG. I think they do a really good job, by the way. They don't get enough credit because people don't care. They look at values. You look at value and then you disregard a perfectly good grading company just because it doesn't sell well. Then you complain. But either way, beautiful corners. Slab's pretty banged up once again, so it's another one that I'd probably end up cracking out, and whenever I get to it, if I do, and just getting it graded raw. Two reasons. Once again, first one is the slab's just banged up. Second is there's no monetary value in FCG. Last slab here, GAI. So GAI, this hopefully gives you a good variety of everything too. You can see this first corner is pretty good. There's minor chipping on the left edge. Beautiful, perfect. You can't argue with that corner at that point. Like if you're able to see cards at this level and you can't find flaws on it, you have nothing to complain about. Like this corner here, you can already see, guys, there's a difference between this corner, which has good shape, but you can tell it's not absolutely perfect. Then you see this corner, and you're like, wow, that's fantastic. So when you look at that, you got to think as a grader, am I going to let this slide? Has good shape, it's got minor fraying, it's not technically gray, but it's there. So you got to start thinking like that to build yourself scenarios to where you can set the proper expectations for yourself as far as the grade goes. But you can see the slab itself, very dirty, very scratched up. So this is a card that wouldn't be sent in slab. It would be an epic waste of money at that point. And there you go. So there you guys have it. We looked at a bunch of different companies, bunch of different slabs, and this is kind of essentially why, like, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work. It's not because anybody's trying to be a turd to you. The reality is that, you know, if you're requesting something, might as well look at this card while we're talking. Pulled this out of my daughter pulled this out of a red, white, what, the Prism Value Packs the other night. It's a Stefan Castle. But go ahead and just make sure it's nice and focused. Alright, here we go. So, but as I was saying, you just got to make sure you do your due diligence in every way possible. I don't know why I'm tilting it, still just habit with these slabs, but this is the plate's long enough for this. Looks pretty good. Front looks good as far as that goes, and then surface, we'll see if we pick up anything. A little bit dirty right there, probably from her tiny fingers, but that's an easy microcloth wipe down. smudges, which are okay. And tiny scratch maybe right by the leg. Could just be a whatever. But at the same time, these are things that, you know, you probably wouldn't notice if you're just eyeballing. At the same time, when I'm looking at this, people are like, oh, yeah, you're looking under the microscope. You know what? That's true. But at the same time, it allows me to identify where the flaw is so that I can take it out from under the microscope and see if it's visible in person through various angles with just the naked eye. And that's the point of this, is not to just pick apart every card, because every card has flaws. It's just trying to understand which flaws you can get away with to still get the grade that you desire. Like that corner, typical prism corner at this point. And this corner too, like it's cut all at a weird angle. But either way, like it's one of these things where, like I said, it never hurts to do the due diligence. I know some of you guys will like hate it, but it's what it is. If you don't do it, you shouldn't complain about what you get. I don't share the sentiment. It does happen where the card gets periodically undergraded. For the most part, it's pretty close to what we think. 90, 94, 95% of the time, I would say we're pretty close to what we expected, if not right on point. Like, we have a small percentage that's going to be outliers here and there, because you're essentially trying to guess what the person that's grading your cards that day is going to see and going to think. It's not a set guideline. It is written that way, but at the same time, it's based on each individual's interpretation. So I hope this helps. You know, if you guys choose to crack your slabs, like, I'd say look at it at a different level in terms of depth. And if you feel good about it at that point, send it in. If it looks like most of these, I'd keep them in the slab, or I'd crack them out myself and just send it in raw. I'd keep them in the slab and not cross them over. That's what I mean. But hope you guys enjoy this one. A little bit different, obviously. I don't really enjoy doing these types of videos, but at the same time, it should help or address a lot of things. And we shall go from there. We'll have more reveals coming back soon, and we'll get back to usual at that point. Thanks again. Bye.
Shining like the sun on the bay. Tom Brady's legendary, ain't no dirt in the play. Rare refractor Calvin stacking to the sky. Wendy blue velocity, watch those imperfections fly. We got the bass thumping, it's a vibe.